Hey everyone, Ekman here with another video, and today we have a top 32 breakdown for the Bandai Card Fest finals that happened in Texas this past weekend. There were 512 players, invite only, into this top 32 cut here, where the top 3 players were able to get Worlds invites for the end of the season. So a lot at stake here, and I think this is a really good tournament to kind of end the format before we get into OP08. But a couple of things before we get started with this video. First, if you guys like these videos, please make sure to hit that like and subscribe. It does help out a lot. Second, if you guys want any of the deck lists, they're all on my website, Eggman Events, not only for this event, but for many others, including the LCQ that happened the Friday before. So top 32 did get invites off. This is pretty much just like a mini regional for a lot of ways. I only was able to get top 16 deck lists, and we're not going to go over them today, but you can check them out as well. And I also do want to shout out Miguel, or Shippy, who is the main programmer for the deck builder here on Eggman Events. He was able to get an invite and a 6th place finish, so super proud of him. I know he's been grinding for it, and I just want to shout him out here. But if you want any of these deck lists, are the ones that are in the OPO7 section, and I want to just point that out because OPO8 is like the main section that we're pushing, but you can check out any of this here. So they're the 7.5 ones. But then I think that's all I need to talk about. I'll probably remember some things, but yeah, it was just a huge tournament. I do also want to say a big shout outs to co-commentators of Doa and True Champion Steven. I was able to do the top 8 commentary with them, and it was just it was a blast. I really appreciate the opportunity. I appreciate being up on that stage with them, and I had a really good time with it too. So currently that video or that live stream is privated. If it becomes unprivated, I'll make sure to comment it in the description or like a pinned comment so you guys can check that out and promote it out too. But honestly, there are some really good games in the top 8, and I hope we get to save them and see them and go over them in the next little bit too. But that's I was able to do it, and I appreciate the opportunity is the main point. But of this though, at this top 32, again, this is our 7.5 format, so I know this format just is already over. We're already in OPO8 format, but I would also say that OPO8 doesn't change a lot immediately until the star decks come out at the end of October. But we do have star deck 10 Law and Innis Lobby banned, so that does mean it was kind of like a week 1 format. This is a format that also existed for the Liverpool finals that happened the week beforehand. So we did have like a little bit of a clue from this event of what this would look like, but not the full picture as well, since it's such a quick and fast format in a lot of ways. But of the top 32, we did have 9 Rob Lucci, 8 of Star Deck 13 Luffy, 4 Bonney, 4 Nami, 3 Reiju, and then singletons of Purple Luffy, Perona, Katakuri, and the Star Deck 14 Luffy. So 9 unique leaders in the top 32, I think is pretty good. We've definitely had some formats where it's not as popular as that, but I do think that Lucci and the yellow black Luffy are on top. I think they're very strong in this format, especially with Red Purple Law out of it right now. And then also, I do want to mention, of the top 8, we did have 5 unique leaders. Actually, I think we had 5 unique leaders in this top 8, which is I think pretty astounding too. So I think that's actually, sorry, we did have 5. We had the Star Deck 13 Luffy, Reiju, Bonney, Nami, Luffy, and no, we did have 6. We had 6 because there were 3 of the Luffy there. So six of the top 8 were unique leaders, which I think is really cool and doesn't happen very often. So for like a big high stakes tournament like this, having so much diversity at the top is a really cool thing. So of this though, we are going to go over the top placing list of each of these, but I do want to just say like a big congratulations to everyone who was able to get top 32 this weekend. This was a really stacked tournament, and I do want to just say congratulations to Jackson, Key, as well as Chris for being the top 3 from this event, and good luck for your Worlds qualification or the World Finals at the end of the season too, and for representing North America in general. But we're going to go over again the top placing list for each of these, starting off with our first place list. So this is Jackson's version of Star Deck 13 Luffy. This is a deck that I've been piloting a lot of. I didn't immediately have faith of this deck in OPO 7.5 because I was expecting a little bit more of Bonney and just blue in general. I'm actually pretty surprised that we didn't see any Dofi or Boa, especially since I do think it did get a finish, in Liverpool finals. So that's just like a really rough matchup for me, and Bonney as well. I think Bonney did get a lot from this restriction list too, but it seems not to matter. I think that it's clear that Black Yellow Luffy is the best leader in this format. I think just based on the amount of people who've been able to top with it and just the performance it's been in both the finals that it has. Maybe Rob Lucci is like a close second, or maybe tied with it, but right now, given all the facts we've got, I'd say Black Yellow Luffy's in a really good spot. So of the list that we have though from Jackson, some key choices, and I talked to him a little bit too after he won. He puts in a lot of one-ofs, and mostly because he wants his opponent to have to respect these one-ofs. So this means like the 10-drop Kuzan, which I'm personally not a fan of, but this deck can find like room for one-ofs like this and not be really bogged down by it. We have like the Ace 2-drop and 5-drop, which can get you a lot of value. The Sabo as well, just a one-off there, and then the Ice Age, and then 3 copies of my least favorite event in the game. But in general, just a really solid deck. I think there's a lot of extension because of these one-ofs that we run, and then we just run our general just package of the Luffys, the Sabos, our Garp, and our 2Ks from there. So we kind of know what this deck looks like, but I think that Jackson is just a really good pilot with this as well. Well earned for this season, and congratulations for their first place there. I also quickly want to go over Chris's version of the build. So Chris's, he got 3rd place, so he is also going to Worlds this year, and he's playing a bit of a different build. I'd say like the biggest difference is that we aren't playing any copies of Ace in this one. We decided to bump up to 2 copies of Kuzan as well as the Finger Gun too. And also like the 4-drop Kuzan is a staple I think in both of these at this point. This was not a really good card I think when Red Purple Law was around, but with it gone, this card's in I think like a very good spot and can help you get some reduction for it. But I really have been liking the Finger Gun. I think Kuzan is still like a little bit rough for it, but I do know that it was off screen for it. But Chris did play Bonney in these semifinals, or like the 3rd place match, and was able to win it 2-0. And I'm sure like the 10-drop Kuzan really helped in that matchup because of that. But outside of that, I think outside of Bonney, I think Kuzan like is a little bit tough as a 10-drop. But I know Chris has also been really grinding this season, got a lot of regional finishes and tops, and just really well earned too. So congratulations to Chris for the finish there. Next up, we have 2nd place. So this is Key's version of Reiju, and this is a deck that immediately a lot of people will say like this is the winner of the restriction list because Red Purple Law was worse than a bad matchup. It's like a very negative matchup, right? Very tough for the deck. It pretty much does what you want to do, but better. You want to be less Dawn than your opponent, but Law just loses so much Dawn so consistently that it's hard for Reiju to really get any of their effects because of that restriction for it. So, but besides that, I think that it's a very good deck in a lot of ways. You do have a little bit of an issue against Black Yellow Luffy at times because you do have to respect their 9K leader a lot of the time. But watching the finals, I think Key had like the good strategy for it. I also think they bricked a little bit in the finals too, which is a little bit unfortunate, but they made a really good call with like playing a Charlotte Pudding where this didn't get them like the most amount of value. But I think being able to play this at a strategic time where you have to make your opponent just draw 5 cards that are good. And if they don't, then they can't become a 9K leader, or like their loop is inefficient, and that really buys you a lot of time and pressure for it. So I think that's definitely a really good card for this matchup and others that are playing against Black Yellow Luffy in the next little while. Other than that, though, I think this deck is still very good. You do have to find your pieces, and you won't find them every time. I think that's been shown time and time again. But when you're able to see it, you can just be the best deck in the format. Porsche into like double Porsche in the double Ichi will win you a lot of games if you see it. So you have like a 10% chance of winning the game. But I also think like you have a 10% chance of just bricking and not seeing your pieces. Even though we have Germa Kingdom, even though it's searchable off Germa 66, you will not find it every game, and you'll be feeling like you're behind on a lot of consistency without it. But I think Key did a really good job this weekend. 2nd place is fantastic, and even with them having like a bit of an unfortunate hand in the finals, they really pulled it out, and just a big congratulations and good luck for them at their Worlds qualification as well. So again, that's top 3 for them, and congratulations for that. Next up, we got 4th place, so our top 4. It is 4th place because they did play it out, but this is D-Zayas' version of Bonney, and real quick, most of these names are based off the Bandai TCG numbers. Are names, if you have a name that if you are one of these and you want this updated for your full name, let me know and I will do that immediately. Just let me know about it and I will update it on the site. But in the meantime, for D-Zayas, for their version of Bonney. Bonney was likely my second pick if I was playing in this event. I think the deck is really good in this format that we have, and it was the third most placing deck in this format too, with 4 copies, and it did win the LCQ, wrong for that one, the LCQ the day before by Vermet. So I thought it was really solid, and based on like where it was in the brackets, I was expecting this to maybe even push all the way, but top 4 is a fantastic finish for it. So some of the changes that I would see that most people have made since Red Purple Law is a little bit greedier on the top end. We're playing 4 Hody, 3 of the useless Captain Kidd, 3 whole copies of Zoro, which is a very greedy, but this does win you against Yellow Black Luffy if seen at the right time, and then also 3 of the Dofies too. So just a lot of good value there. Only playing 1 copy of Bonney though, which is a little bit low. I do think this is helpful for a lot of matchups like Moria, or like any of the black matchups, so like Rob Lucci, to make sure that Moria doesn't come out on curve, or even against Black Yellow Luffy, being able to prevent them from playing their 10 Dawn turn because he locked down one of their Dawn. So I do think that's I would likely bump this up to like 2 copies at least, but it's definitely a really good card in a lot of situations. So I know that this format is over, but I do think like OP08's not too much different for Bonney, and it might get a little bit better. Carrot's a really good card for this deck and very generic for it, so I would expect Bonney to still be pretty present and maybe fight over, with Carrot. I think this deck is better than Carrot, but there might be some fighting between the two, and one might end up being a little bit better than the other. So regardless, this is the build here. Congratulations to D-Zayas for their finish there. Next up, we're going into the top 8. So we got Rohat with their copy of Nami. And if I was to be asked who I thought was the best Nami player NA, it'd definitely be Rohat in my mind. He's been playing this deck pretty much since release. He's been grinding it. He's also the Treasure Cup winner on the first day of Gen Con back in August too. And he's just been grinding out a lot of matches with Nami. So just very, very strong. I've known him for a long time. I don't have a lot to say about the deck because it's been pretty much known for a while. Nami hasn't really changed in the last little bit. We do have a second copy of Mr. Hanger though, just in case for the mirror match. I know this is like the mirror match breaker in a lot of ways, just because of the cycle, but also if your opponent wants to remove it, they're going to have to attack, which gives you a counter step, which is really important. But other than that, I don't think there's much of a difference. I know that he wasn't always on Deathwing, but he did bump it up for it, and it did help him for a top 16 finish against Graham with their Black Yellow Luffy too. So I think Rohit's well deserved. He's been working really hard for this season, and I hope he's able to qualify for Orlando, because I think he's got a good shot for that event too. So, but this is Rohit's build, and congratulations for their finish with Nami. And then next up, to finish the top 8 before, we got 2 more decks. For top 8 though, we've got Luffy and the Rob Lucci as well. And for the Rob Lucci, for the Monkey.D.Luffy, we've got Aandroidd with their version of the Purple Luffy. And this was a deck that I didn't think was viable in this format. I think it did get a little bit better with the Star decks in OP08, but I wasn't like totally in tune with it. But with Red Purple Law gone, and also Innis Lobby, which I think Innis Lobby being able to help you get rid of these 5 costs more efficiently did make a big difference for what Purple Luffy was able to kind of extend into. And so because of that, I think this was a good meta pick and meta call for what the field was in general. So the reason I say that too is because we do have some interaction with Sabos. Specifically, we have the Sheep's Horn, so being able to use this to rest a Sabo and then just put all our Dawn in like a Kaido that we played early is really nice. It also means that we can play like the Kaido against, like, if they haven't played Sabo, if they're kind of ramping up to it, this can get some really good removal on some of our opponent's good cards. A 7/9 is great against Black Yellow Luffy because this kind of just pressures more cards from their hand without having to use any Dawn advantage or Dawn to do so. So I think that helps out a lot. X-Drake also, there's just so many times where you're like counting on your opponent, like Black Yellow Luffy, like every card is important, so getting the card destruction I think is great, and just like the Trafalgar Law, right, being able to make them discard 2 helps you a lot too. So in general, I think Purple Luffy was a good call for this meta. It's probably a deck that I'd want to test out a little bit more if it was still around, but I don't think this is going to change much until the Star deck, so it's still pretty viable for OP08, and I think this is a really big accomplishment. So congratulations to Andrew for their finish with Purple Luffy. All right, and to wrap up the top 8, we do have Patrick's version of the Rob Lucci. And the Rob Lucci, I think, despite being like the most popular leader in the top 32, it definitely feels like it's kind of getting there by default nowadays. Like, it's really popular, I get it, and it does have a lot of good matches, but it's been really clear to me that the Black Yellow Luffy matchup has been very, very tough for this leader in general. Not being able to, I just don't think there's a way for this to pivot into that being a viable matchup for you in a lot of ways. It's just very tough for this leader to kind of answer the Sabos efficiently, even though we do have like the Brooks. We're running 3 copies of this. This also is really good for getting rid of like the Nami, like putting 3 cards from their trash to the bottom of their deck, even though it could just be their good Kayas and stuff like that. I do think that this deck is just not like fast enough for putting enough pressure for those 2 matchups to get there all the time. So, but there is like, if you're talking about like a removal deck, this is still like the best removal deck in the game. You're very great like this is the best card or best leader to take advantage of how good 8-drop Moria is outside of Black Yellow Luffy, I guess, but that's for like a different reason, I guess. But I don't know, like Rob Lucci's, I think like it's just good by default, right? It's going to be present, I think, in OP08 for a good little bit too. Star deck Luffy might start getting a little bit of advantage over it, especially with the starter decks, like the Hina that we get out of that helps it out, and we'll talk about that deck in a little bit too. But the pure removal factor for this deck, the fact that we can run 4 copies of Tempest Kicks as well as 4 copies of Ice Sage. We have the Finger Gun, which has been really helpful for the Bonney matchup to get rid of their Basil Hawkins, and then just like the additional reduction, like the E-shows too. So I don't know. I think that Rob Lucci's been in a good spot for a long time. I don't think it's going anywhere anytime soon, but it's definitely hurt by how much Black Yellow Luffy's been around. So this is Patrick's version of the build, and congratulations for their top 8 finish there. And to wrap it up, we do have 3 decks in the top 32. These are all decks that were singletons in their own way. So we do have Frank's version of Perona to start it off, and this is a deck I know a lot of people have been trying to put a lot of faith into with OPO 7.5 with the removal of the red purple law. I do think this is one that it's still tough, but by and large, I think that Lucci just has a better matchup spread and is better at taking advantage of 8-drop Moria in general. But I do think that there are some skewed matchups where Perona does better, specifically Black Yellow Luffy. The fact that you have a built-in way with your leader to answer their Sabos is really great. Just means that they have to kind of respect that they can't keep only 1 blocker up. They have to kind of keep 2 up, or be like a 7K with a blocker kind of thing. So that's something to keep knowledge of. I do think this leader is a little bit better at taking advantage of 8-cost Sabo. The secret rare, just because you can get like the reduction, and you kind of need to put the cards into your trash because we don't have a great way with the deck already to do that with filtering. And then the Ryuma's been really solid since conception of the 2 of them. They're just a really good pair of cards for it. So I don't have really much more to say. I think this is a real accomplishment to get Perona into this top 32, and a big congratulations to Frank for doing so. Next up, we've got Katakuri, and this is Silondus' version of it here. I think Katakuri's, it's been on my radar a little bit more lately. I've been playing a lot of Pudding and OPO8, and I think that Katakuri might just be better at taking advantage of 10-drop Big Mom, even though we play it a little bit slower. The amount of pressure we put on the leader, I think is a little bit better in general because of it. It also does get the Star deck in October, which gets like 1 or 2 cards I think you get added to it, but not as much support as I think like other decks got for it. But like this is a card that, like, a deck that's never really changed since conception, right? It came out on OPO3. Our best cards are like our Pudding, our Espira. Like, we've got some incremental adds of like the Beige when that came out. Kikunojo is really great. Like, I would say like Katakuri is just as good as Yamato of taking advantage of this card since we're so aggressive with it. We have like the Enel for Rush. We have the 8-drop Katakuri, the 10-drop Linlin, and also like the 10-drop Ace that came out in OPO7. So again, just like generically the best yellow leader I think we've had ever, and I think that's going to continue to be the way. It's just so good in so many ways that it's hard to like, when you already have such a good package, and when you have like one of the best 10 drops in the game that you can take advantage of with the Charlotte Linlin, it's hard to really kind of like sleeve up any other yellow leader in this format. So I think Katakuri is fine. I think it's going to continue to do pretty okay, I think, in OP08, and we'll see by the end of the format how popular this leader is in general. But I think this is a really big accomplishment to take it to the top 32, and congratulations to Silondus for their finish there. And to wrap it up, we do have one Star Deck 14 Luffy. This is Trikydiky with their version of it as well. And I've mentioned it before. I'll mention it one more time. This was not a deck that was on my radar at all for 7.5, and wasn't really until it did top for the Liverpool finals here, which got it was the second most topping leader for this event as well, with 5 of the top 32. So I do think it's something that also does get better as we get more cards. We do get like the Jack that came out in OP08, which helps out the deck a lot, but also the Hina from the Star Deck for the Smoker one. So this is just like a generically good leader. The fact that you can be a 6K pretty low, like pretty easily, I think helps out the deck a lot too, which is really nice, and you've got a really kind of good package with it. So I think this one is more of like the Navy package, which I think is really the way I would build it. And when I was testing this one just felt a little bit better, just so you have like more cards like your removal, like your Kuzan and your Borsalino. Sanji's a really good removal card, and Sakazuki, so they went a little bit high on the removal, but that's all I think very good. We get to play Sabo, we get to play Gecko Moria. All things are great for that. One thing I would say is that we're a little bit less good at setting up cards into our trash, because we don't have any ways to put cards from the top of our deck into our trash. So that's why I think cards like Brand New, as well as Sabo, as well as Sakazuki, just being able to use their cards to put cards we want to play later off Moria into our trash just helps us out a lot. So other than that, we also have like the Isho, great for hand destruction and the reduction, 1 copy of Stasi, and then also 2 copies of I Have My Crew. So main, draw 1 card, then up to one of your characters gains plus 3k or plus 3 costs until the end of your opponent's next turn. So this can just be really good for removal. This is a new low tech for it. It's kind of like the Straw Hat stage as well, the Thousand Sunny, but this one's like I think a little bit more permanent, and really helps you get rid of like gives you the protection you need. So I haven't really played that card personally, but I can see it be helpful for like just even if we have like this 5 cost Sabo, right? We can use it. I Have My Crew, making an 8 cost, and then also it means that we can use our leader effect, so we're a 6k leader as well, and then we have the protection off the Sabo. That seems pretty good in a card that we're never like losing card advantage for, because worst case it's just 1 draw 1 kind of thing. So I am a little bit surprised they didn't have any copies of Ice Age. If we're playing Brand New already, I'd probably try to sneak in a copy or 2, but they clearly didn't need it. They were in a really good spot. Congratulations to their top 32 finish there. So I feel like I've been talking about this for far too long. So if you've made it to this part of the video, I really do appreciate it. I know there's a lot to go over for this one, but I'm really excited for this. I know this format is over, but I hope there's also some insight from it and you guys enjoyed all the talk for it. So that's going to be it for me. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. Make sure to hit that like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll catch you all next time.